What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we're going to be talking about the raid quest that leads to an exotic weapon, which is called the Legend of Acrius exotic shotgun. Now, we'll be going over exactly how to complete the On the Comms or Await the World Eater quest, the next steps that follow on and beyond from that, and of course the weapon's perks and what it does. So we've got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. If you consider an exotic quest a spoiler, then you might not want to watch this video. I mean, I personally wouldn't consider it a spoiler because you're going to be told how to do it anyway with the quest, and there's no raid boss details or raid spoilers per se in this video, but it's your choice if you want to know what the quest involves. Now, I mentioned this briefly in yesterday's video, how there's going to be a power weapon obtained from the raid. Now, this is because the On the Comms quest item goes to your power weapon slot, and the next step is to await the World Eater, which of course is the raid, and this is the step everyone's stuck on. But now we have more info on what to do after this, because the quest is public in the database, so much like most items, this quest isn't actually classified. Some parts are, but most of it we can see, and we can go through what's beyond the step everyone's stuck on. So to begin this quest in the first place, of course, what you need to do is complete the campaign for Destiny 2, do all the story missions, and eventually, once you're free roaming, killing Cabal, you'll get the On the Comms items dropped for you. And this is the first step: return to Nessus and recover communication ciphers. So this, you need to simply go to Nessus and kill Cabal, and eventually you get 5 of them. This leads into step 2, which is await the World Eater. So once the raid goes live, of course, this step will be completed, and that leads into step 3, which is actually classified. It's completely classified, and it doesn't tell you what to do inside the step, so most likely involves some kind of raid details. So once you do the thing inside the raid, that leads into step 4, called Imperial Invitation. So this requires you to seek out the strange hacked frame skulking in the bazaar in the tower. So there's going to be some kind of hacked frame as an NPC, I guess, inside the tower you have to interact with. Now, he's going to give you some kind of item or give you the next step of the quest, which leads into step 5, end the arms dealer. So this is pretty simple. Just go and do the arms dealer strike, defeating the green Cabal guy, and he doesn't have to be a nightfall, just normal strike, and that'll be step 5. Now that leads into step 6, which is back to the bazaar. You go and seek out the strange hacked frame again in the tower. Now he's going to give you an item called the Acrius. Now this is pretty interesting because I'm guessing it's similar to the Sturm and the Drang quest, in which you get the Drang, a legendary sidearm, and use that to eventually get the Sturm. So this is pretty similar. You're going to get a weapon called the Acrius, and you need to complete 3 following objectives. This is all inside step number 7, called Cabal Killer. This requires you to eliminate firstly Cabal, then go and eliminate Cabal at close ranges, and then eliminate multiple Cabal without reloading. So this is probably going to be a legendary shotgun if I was to guess, maybe a different type of weapon, or whatever the Acrius is, you need to use this to kill Cabal, and that's step number 7. Now, this leads into step number 8, which of course goes back to Bazaar, the hacked frame in the tower. Speak to him and he's going to give you something else. And then you need to go in step 9, His Highness Seal. Eliminate bosses inside the Leviathan raid to acquire Emperor Seal. So this can be an item you drop from the raids, very similar to Outbreak Prime, how it required you to initially do the raid, then go do some other stuff, and then go back to the raid and defeat bosses. This is pretty similar to Outbreak Prime, obviously not as complicated, but Highness Seal is going to require you to defeat Leviathan raid bosses. So that is step number 9. Step number 10 is Benedict Beneath. Simply go back to the tower again and speak to the hacked frame in the tower. Now he's going to give you the next quest step, which is actually classified again. This is step number 11, and it's simply classified keep it secret, keep it safe. Bungie didn't give any details on what this actually is. If I was to guess, it's probably something to do with the raid they don't want to spoil, similar to step number 3. And then once you do that, you come back to the tower once again, to the bazaar, you speak to the hacked frame, and he is going to finally give you the Legend of Acrius exotic shotgun. So let's talk about this weapon itself, what its perks are, what it does. Now this appears to be a pretty interesting weapon, almost similar to the tractor cannon, but a little bit more of a shotgun. So the first perk is called Shock Blast. This is the exotic one. This weapon fires blasts of high damage arc energy that overpenetrates enemies. So if they're stacking up, you can hit multiple at the same time. It's going to go through all of them, which sounds pretty cool. And obviously it's a arc shotgun. And the first normal perk is called Full Bore. Barrel optimized for distance, greatly increases range, decreases stability, slightly decreases handling speed. The next perk is Accurized Rounds. This weapon can fire for longer distances, increase range. We then have Long March, which detects enemies on your radar from further away, which is pretty interesting as a perk. And the final one is called Fitted Stock. This stock makes the weapon stable but heavy, increases stability, moderately controlled recoil, and slightly decreased handling speed. So the gameplay in the background is, of course, the gameplay clips of this weapon we've seen so far in trailers and pre-release footage of Destiny 2. We've seen it in a couple clips, and it does seem to be quite a massive damage-dealing weapon. Basically blasts the enemies away in this massive arc kind of shockwave. And again, it seems a bit similar to the tractor cannon exotic shotgun, in that it just blows enemies away in this massive shock blast, as opposed to shotgun shells or normal bullets. Now, of course, this weapon is very Cabal focused, and the lore of it says, in Cabal legend, the hero seeks to possess the sun, he succeeds, and then he becomes the Emperor. The Cabal are not a subtle people. So it seems that the Legend of Acrius is named that because Acrius was actually the very first Cabal Emperor, who apparently in this myth kind of captured the sun and took it for himself, and Gaul is apparently obsessed with that, and it's basically his inspiration of this guy called Acrius, the very first Emperor who went out and took the sun, because that was how ambitious he was. And it's almost like this is what inspired Gaul to come and take the Traveler for himself in the first place. Gaul is basically trying to follow in the footsteps of the Legend of Acrius. Now, in terms of the weapon itself, it seems to be pretty much focused on a Shotgun Warrior's playstyle. It's all about increased range, and it seems to have a pretty good range from the perks are saying, and also it has the Long March perk, detecting enemies further away on your radar. So it seems like this is supposed to be almost like a primary weapon, and I imagine it's going to be quite good in Crucible, but basically all of its perks are all about increasing the range and trying to make sure it's most effective at long distances. So it could be pretty good in terms of rushing around. Obviously power ammo is still very scarce, but it's going to be pretty good at long range. I'm looking forward to see that Shock Blast perk in action, see how it cuts through multiple enemies at the same time. But there you go, that is the Legend of Acrius exotic shotgun from the raid and its quest, all the info we know so far about it. As always, if you enjoyed this video, a like rating would be much appreciated. If you want to watch a video I made about some new Trials of the 9 information, and also the first DLC expansion for Destiny 2, then click the image on screen right now. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next one.